Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. This is chapter 2, verse 25. Avak, avak, avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitam arhasi.
It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body.
Text 26. Atha chainam nitya jatam nityam manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho nainam shochitam arhasi.
If, however, you think that the soul or symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty one.
Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityo dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmadapiraharyarite natvam shochitam arhasi.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die. After death, one is sure to take the place. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Text 28. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyevev eva tatra ka paridevana.
All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in the interim state, and unmanifest against when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
Text 29. Ascharyavat pashyati kachit evam आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्य आश्चर्यवत् चैनम् अन्यश्नोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद च वेद च चैव कश्चित्.
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
Text 30. Dehi nityam avidhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitam arhasi.
O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
Text 31. Swadharmam api chavekshya navikampitum arhasi dharmyadhi yuddha chet Shreyonyat Kshatriyasya na vidyate.
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation.
Text 32. Yachaya Chopannam Swargadvaram Aparvritam Sukhina Kshatriya Partha Labhante Yudham Midrasham.
O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets.
Text 33. अथ चेत्त्वं इमं धर्म्यं सङ्ग्रामं न कीर्ष्यसि तथा स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि.
If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter.
Text 34.
I'm sorry, I cannot read the whole text for number 34. I only see half. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Akirtim chapi bhutani कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययां सम्भावितस्य चाकृति मन मरणाद् अतिरिच्यते.
People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death.
Text 35. भयाद्रणाद् उपरतं मंस्यन्ते त्वां महारथाः येषां च त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यास्यसि लाघवम्.
The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant.
Text 36. Avachya vadamscha bahum vedishyanti tavaitaha nindantastva samarthyam tato dukkataram nukim.
Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
Text 37. Hato va prapsyasi svargam jitva va bhokshyase mahim tasmadutishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nischaya.
O son of Kunti, either you'll be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdoms. Therefore, get up with determination and fight.
Text 38. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi.
Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin.
Text 39. Esha te bhita sankhye buddhir yoge tva imam shranu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi.
Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pratha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works.
Text 40. Neha bhikramana shosti pratayavayo na vidyate swapalamyapya asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat.
In the endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
Text 41. Vyavasatmaka buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahushaka hiyantascha buddhayo vyasainam.
Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched.
Text 42 to 43. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadyante avipaschitta vedavadarata partha nanyada sthiti vadina kamatmana swargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati.
Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense of gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this.
Text 44. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam daya partha chetasam vyavasatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate.
In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place.
Text 45. Traigunyo vishaya veda nistraigunyo bhavarjuna nirdvando nityasatvasto niryogakshema atmavan.
The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to those three modes. Be free from dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self.
Text 46. Yavanartha udapane pane sarvata samplutodeke tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijantaha.
All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purpose of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them.
Text 47. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sangostva karmani.
You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your action, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Text 48. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam त्यक्त्वा dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate.
Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachments to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, are you here?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for that wonderful recitation. Sorry, I was running late from work today, actually, so I didn't manage to catch up on your recitation. But here we are. Thank you so much for that wonderful recitation. Now we are into the second part of this beautiful chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. So today we will be discussing text 25. So let me just share my screen with all of you so you can see the verse. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, great. So text 25. Avyaktoyam achintayo ayam avikaryo ayam uchate tasmat evam vidivani vidivenam nanushochitam arhasi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. I do apologize. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one, if I could request the devotees to please stay on mute. Thank you. Okay, I may have to just mute everybody. Okay. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on the grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious, and that also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. The supreme soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the supreme personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Translation once again, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So once again, thank you for that wonderful recitation. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji, for stepping up and sharing the screen and the shlokas with everybody, so we could not lose any time, which is very important. So in this particular verse, the theme is it is the further qualities of the soul are explained, that it is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. And as the soul is beyond the range of ordinary perception, it cannot be understood by direct empiric methods alone. We must therefore understand the soul on the basis of Vedic wisdom. So just before we start, if you could tell me how many devotees on this call right now have had the opportunity to read Radhesham Prabhu's book called Essence of Bhagavad Gita, or at least remember reading it at some point in your life. Anyone? You can put your hands up using the There is a button for expressing your emotions using the characters, so you can put your hands up or give a thumbs up. That if you, or you can unmute yourself and tell me, yes, I've read Radheshyam Prabhu's book in Essence. Sorry, Essence of Bhagavad Gita. Anyone? It is a blue color book. It's slightly bigger than a normal book. Anyone? Okay. Well, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you read it. Let me see. Do I have it in my bookshelf here? Because half of my books are still packed away, because we will again be moving soon to Stanmore in few months, hopefully. So that's the reason I don't have the books right now here, that particular book, but I have it with me. So it's a very beautiful book. And in that book, Radheshyam Prabhu, a great genius he is, he explains in a very wonderful way the whole background before we begin the Bhagavad Gita. What is soul? Why bad things happen to good people? All these things, and how the knowledge should be understood in a descending way, in ascending way. There are many ways, of acquiring knowledge. And in one of those lessons, he gives a beautiful example of an elephant and 6 people trying to figure out what that is while they're touching the elephant. Now, anybody recalls that?
6 blind people, bro.
Yes, 6 blind people. That's right. So you recall that, Krishnamani Mataji? Why don't you tell us that story then, because you've read it? I have one hand is up here. Whose hand is up? Who's giving that thumbs up? Sorry. Let me just see. Someone's hand is up and I can't see it. Who was it?
It's me, Prabhu. Vinu
Okay,
Mataji.
Vinu Mataji. Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
So
Krishna.
please tell us if whatever you remember of that story of the elephant and the 6 blind men trying to work out what it is.
So from my understanding, what I remember is that there are 6 blind men and they're all holding a different part of the elephant. So one person is, say, touching the leg, the other person is touching the trunk, the other person is touching the tusk, the other person is touching the ear, and so on. And when asked, what do you feel, or what in your perception is the elephant, they all give their relevant answers based on what they can feel. So the person who's touching the tusk, it's very hard, it's very smooth. So he says that is the elephant. The person who is touching the ear says it's very floppy and flexible. So that's his answer. The person who then touches the leg says it's like a tree trunk. It's very big, very muscular. That's his answer. So the main moral we can take away is that everyone's giving their own perception dependent on their own experience of what they're feeling, because they're blind and they're just giving their answers from their limited experience.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely summarized. Well done. So yeah, as Mataji precisely explained, this was in a section where Radheshyam Prabhu explains that we human have these 4 inabilities where we commit mistakes. We are prone to, our senses are limited. There is a tendency to cheat, and tendency to cheat. Our senses are imperfect. We are illusion, and we make mistakes. So based on these 4 things, this story is very appropriate. Radheshyam Prabhu explains that in that beautiful book called The Essence of Bhagavad Gita, that because our senses are so limited, we make whatever we want to make out of the truth. That's what we make out. So the person who was touching the stomach or the middle part of the elephant said this is like a wall. The person who was touching the tail said it's like a snake. So like that, they were all trying to make a different thing out of the elephant. But the real story is that it is an elephant. So similarly here, hold this thought as it will come into play in this particular text. We must therefore understand the soul on the basis of Vedic wisdom, which is called Shruti. We take shelter in the Vedas of the Lord because they are emanating from the lotus mouth of the Lord, or from the various empowered personality directly empowered by the Lord. So in this particular verse, there are a few points to note. The first one is that soul is invisible. Prabhupada mentions it that the soul is too small to be even seen by the most powerful microscope, even smaller than the atom. It is like 1/10,000 tip of that hair. It is explained in the Shastra that that is the size of the soul, but you can't even see it from any kind of microscope. But what is the biggest evidence that the soul exists is the consciousness, because the whole body is conscious due to that soul's presence. And the moment the soul leaves the body is very much there, right? Nothing has changed. But what has moved is the consciousness which has left the body, or the soul has left the body, which was represented by as a symptom in the form of consciousness. So that's how invisible the soul is. And today I was hearing a lecture of Srila Prabhupada on this beautiful verse, and I'll share a few things from there. Prabhupada was mentioning, imagine that is the soul, and then it is explained the thumb of the size, the thumb, I mean, that's the example given is the super soul. They're both residing in the heart, and both of them are very much there. One is called Anu, which is minute, and the other is called Vibhu, which is, magnanimous, which is big. So Vibhu, or the super soul, knows everything which is happening in with everybody else and in the whole world, whereas the soul is the master of that particular body, only understanding what's going on in that body, or rather limited to that body. So that's the first point, that the soul is invisible. The second point is soul as inconceivable. So Prabhupada mentions that no one can establish the existence of the soul by human experiment efforts. Only source of understanding is the proof of Shruti, as I said earlier, Vedic wisdom, an example of understanding based solely on superior authorities and beyond the capacity of experiment. To know the existence of one's father based on authority of mother. So we often know, Srila Prabhupada quotes this example, that the easiest way to find out for a father, for a son, or sorry, for a child who his father is, the moment the mother says that here is your father. That is the easiest way to find out. So taking that as an answer is the most intelligent thing one can do, because in that way you're completely accepting and surrendering the Shruti, and you can't go wrong. So one time it was asked by Prabhupada, I think somebody asked this stupid question, what if there is no God? And Prabhupada said, well, that's all right then. We have done our bit anyway, even if it isn't. But what if there is a God just by chance? Then you're doomed. You see? So that was such a humorous answer Prabhupada gave, that we have done our bit because we are trying to surrender to God. And just in case if there is God, then we are sorted and you're doomed. Prabhupada, in one sense, he was trying to say that. So that's the thing. If we accept and take the authority of the mother or the Shastras, then we understand there is a supreme personality of Godhead who lives in his beautiful abode, Golok Vrindavan. And that abode is full of the Chintamani gems, and it's full of variety and variegatedness. It is full of different kinds of wonderful, beautiful lakes, beautiful flowers, beautiful Kadamba trees. And as we hear in Vrindavan, every step is a dance. Every word is calling out, is a song, which is glorifying the Lord, and all you hear is the glorification of the Lord there. It is so beautiful. So that's why it is very inconceivable. It's very difficult to conceive the soul. And finally, the third word used is soul is immutable. This establishes the stability of the conception of the soul. It never changes like matter, unlike body, which goes through 6 changes, never becomes God. The soul always remains atomic to the infinite supreme. I've already mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, that the soul being as immutable, it is established here that Prabhupada gives this important point that it doesn't go through the 6 kind of changes. So the body goes through 6 kind of changes. What are the 6 kind of changes? It takes birth. It then grows, and it then produces the byproducts, or like say children. It then becomes old, and then it dwindles and it dies. Am I missing any one of them? Dwindle and dying? Is that right? Yeah, I think that is correct. So these are the 6 changes that the body goes through, whereas the soul on the other side doesn't have to go through that. It just takes on another body based on the desire one has. Today I was hearing this short snippet of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj about the holy name. And Maharaj this Prabhu asked a question to Maharaj that, Maharaj, so many desires are there, and we are chanting with an idea sometimes to just get our round done, and move on to another activity. So how can we achieve perfection, he asked. And Maharaj gave a beautiful answer. He said that, yes, all these anarthas like lust, anger, greed, envy, all these qualities are present in our heart. But the whole idea of the chanting the holy name is to realize that I'm full of these bad qualities, and taking the shelter of the holy name and praying to the holy name that, all these bad qualities exist. But giving that undivided attention and trying to focus on the holy name and hear the holy name attentively, that is the only way we will be able to overcome the chanting. Maharaj said it is good to be able to think that I want to get the rounds done, which is nice. But the intensity or the absorption, one has to always have what is the goal. If the goal, Maharaj said, is to have Krishna Prem, Maharaj said, Prema Bhakti. If that is the goal, then you have to intensely desire and aspire for that goal, that I want to get Krishna Prem. I'm unqualified, but I do want Krishna Prem. So in that spirit, if you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then there is some hope to achieve perfection one day. So similarly, the soul, although it is infinite, or it's very, very minute, but it has this intrinsic connection with the super soul, so that when it is connected with the Lord or serving in the position of service, then it is rightly situated. And when it is not in the position of service, when it is serving our own senses, then unfortunately it is Shama eva hi kevalam. Then that is a dangerous position to be in, actually. And in these verses, like you read one of the verses, I heard that in this path, even a little advancement can save us from the biggest danger. And what is the biggest danger? It is described by the Shastras and our Acharyas as death, as the biggest danger. And these are some points from Prabhupada lecture. So perhaps we can have, who could we have? Vinu Hirani, Prabhu or Mataji, would you please unmute yourself if you're okay to read this wonderful excerpt from the lecture?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. I called you Prabhu, you called me Mataji. It's perfect.
Sorry.
Balance 50-50. 50-50, Mataji. It's a good tie. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Everything here in this material world has a date of birth, and anything which has a date of birth must be a date of death also. This is the nature of this material world. So here we can practice what is Sanatana Dharma, but actually Sanatana Dharma is executed in the spiritual world. So just like one is trained up to become apprentice in some business, and when he's trained up, then he's given the post. So we get this information from the Goswamis, Sanatana Goswamis, that those who are devotees, those who are perfected in the training of devotional service, they are first of all given birth in the universe where Krishna is present. Krishna is always present, just like the sun is present always in the sky. But we can see the sun in some opportune moment, but sun is always there. When the sun is set, it is set in my vision, but sun is there. When it is night, I cannot see the sun, but the sun is there. Similarly, Krishna is always there. We have to make our eyes to see him. That's all. And that, sorry, Prabhu, can you move it up, please?
I wouldn't be able to move it up, Mataji, but what I'll do is I'll read the last line.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I cannot see the sun, but the sun is there. Similarly, Krishna is always there. We have to make our eyes to see him. That's all. And how that eyes are made. This is how the eyes are made. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hirdeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achinta gunasarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Only the devotees who have loving affection for Krishna, who has developed loving propensity. The loving propensity is there already, but we have transferred the loving propensity to Krishna. We have transferred the loving propensity to Maya. This is Prabhupada giving a lecture, making the point that right now we have taken that loving propensity and applied it onto the material energy, thinking this is what I love and I really enjoy this. And I want to develop a Sangha with this particular mode. And I'm quite happy to be in this material world, and keep coming back and keep enjoying. And Prabhupada in this lecture makes a very good point. He says in the previous word Mataji read, what a beautiful, this is the beauty of hearing Srila Prabhupada. Like who in this planet will ever be able to descend on this earthly planet, and only like 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, not even far from there, a personality like His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada descended directly from the spiritual world for our benefit to there is something called as, you got to go through so much when you cook a meal, right? Now, what Prabhupada has done is he's plated our meal. He's put, like in the hotel, when I was doing a hotel manager, we were told the main course comes at like 6 o'clock. Then if there is any starter, that comes at 9 o'clock, like that, like accompaniments on 9 o'clock, like that. So there's a whole plate nicely plated. So Prabhupada, he descended with that beautiful plated plate of Krishna consciousness, and he's plating it in front of us. Otherwise, who in this world would be able to put Krishna consciousness in a just imagine Prabhupada is giving the essence here. He's saying, when the sun is set, it is set in my vision, but the sun is there. Where it is night, I cannot see the sun, but the sun is there. And then Prabhupada goes on to explain in this lecture that sometimes we think, he gives the example, how many 93 million yojanas long is the sun? And so how much can the cloud cover the sun? Only to a limited degree. And look at the Prabhupada, this is called seeing everything in relation to Krishna and seeing Krishna in everything. This is a vision of a pure devotee. Then Prabhupada goes on to explain in this beautiful lecture. He says, just like we were flying in an aeroplane from New York to somewhere Prabhupada was flying, and you can always see when the plane is at its best height, it's flying above the clouds. You can see the clouds are there and everything is clear and the sun is shining. So that means the sun is above the clouds, so nobody can hide. The sun exists eternally. That's the truth. So similarly, Prabhupada, Krishna is always there. We have to make our eyes to see him. And by hearing these words of Prabhupada, reading Srila Prabhupada books every day, not letting a day go. Let me ask you a question. How many on this call have this habit or develop this wonderful habit of reading at least something from Srila Prabhupada books every day? Please, either you can show me a thumbs up or send me a message on the chat box that every day you read Srila Prabhupada books. Okay, 2 participants, 3 participants. Manmohini Mataji does. Jyoti Mataji is reading every day Prabhupada books. Nitai Mata is reading. Yashwani Mataji is reading. Anju Mataji's mother does. So Anju Mataji, it's your turn then as well. If mother does, the daughter has to follow. Our path is to follow our elders, Mahajanone Gatha Sapantha. Vinu Mataji, you're saying my husband does. As I said, you got to follow the seniors. You got to follow your husband. Puja Mataji is saying my daughter does. You have to follow Prahlad Maharaj example, Mataji. You can't leave behind these things. Namrata Mataji, sorry Prabhuji, I only listen to the lesson in the evening, won't lie. That is a great start, Namrata Mataji. And perhaps today you can make that start of just starting by reading 1 page of Srila Prabhupada's, any book. You pick up any book of Prabhupada's and you start with that book and 1 page at a day, and you will see such momentum will come into your life over time, Mataji. Today I was traveling. I'll share my example. I had to go to Canary Wharf, my office in London. And as I was traveling in the morning, normally I read every day 14 pages of Bhagavatam. And sometimes because my small Bhagavatams are still packed and I carry them, but I obviously did it on my phone, but I landed up reading almost like, I think 21 pages or something. In a fraction of 30 minutes, I was on a train journey. And I was fully concentrated. I had a headphones so that there's no verbal noise, and I was into Prabhupada purport. On the way back, I read whole transcription of Prabhupada lecture on this class. And I felt so in the middle of so much allurements, in the middle of so many things happening, and it's hot or whatever it is, it's muggy in the train. I just felt, wow, a sense of connection with Srila Prabhupada, you know. So my suggestion to those who are saying at times I read, please make a habit. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you eat prasad every day or food every day? And how many of you brush every day? Varsha Mataji, you read little, which is great. The whole idea is to read something. Okay, Anju Mataji is saying, I brush every day and I eat every day. That is great news. Thank you for making me feel better, because I was thinking I'm the only one. Okay, there is an administrator. Maybe you can tell us what your name is, Mataji or Prabhu. Shavani Mataji and Girish Prabhu is saying definitely brush and eat prasadam every day. Okay, well, if that is the case, then I would highly recommend make this part of your daily diet. Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu is saying I read every day and he take prasadam and he does his brushing in the morning. So please, this is my recommendation. Make this part of your daily lifestyle. Then I can tell you for sure, over a period of a time, you will be so much in sync with what Srila Prabhupada has come to give us, that you will feel a sense of gratitude and appreciation, and you would want to progress fast and give Krishna consciousness to others. And with reading, try to hear Prabhupada. That is the magic, you know. Like today, I completed my 50th lecture on the jukebox. You know, I was hearing here and there before. I've had it for 1 year. But while I was sharing and encouraging all of you, I got into this habit nearly 50 days ago. And every day, actually 55 days ago, because some of the lectures I heard half and then I had to carry on next day. But there is a momentum. I started with the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, and I can see Srila Prabhupada's simplicity and how he's trying to give Krishna consciousness to all of us. Santosh Mataji is saying, I read every day and I eat prasadam every day and I brush every day. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for confirming that and making us all feel a little bit better here. So now let me ask you a question, knowing that this will give us the energy to walk out into the world and deal with what we have to deal, given as long as we have read something from Prabhupada books. How many of you are willing to take a vow? Right here, right now, there is Radha Ramanji behind me, are willing to take a vow that no matter what happens, I'm going to read at least one page of Srila Prabhupada books. So there are 48 of us. And it is I'm not asking you to read 14 pages of Bhagavatam or 5 pages of Bhagavad Gita. I'm saying one page of Srila Prabhupada, any Srila Prabhupada book. So now can I have hands up, either using or sending a message? Yes, I'm ready to take a vow that I'll read one page of Srila Prabhupada books every day. Vinu Prabhu is confirming, or Vinu Mataji. Administrator Mataji is confirming. Varsha Mataji has taken a vow. Anju Mataji has taken a vow. Mukesh Prabhu has taken a vow. Who else? I gotta have to see 48 people's names. So if you can put it in the chat button, then that would mean, you know, more people I can see. Indra Mataji has taken a vow. Niti Mataji take a vow that I'll read a page. Naina Mataji has taken a vow that I'll read a page. Fantastic. I mean, the list is growing. Namrita Mataji has taken a vow. Pinky Mataji has taken a vow. And Krishnavani Mataji also take a vow, although she already does, but just in case she takes a vow. So I pray on this day to Shri Radha Ramanji in Vrindavan Dham, to Srila Prabhupada, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Radha Govind Dev Ji, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, and Shri Radha Gopinath, that please empower every single member on the chat group to keep and maintain this vow of at least reading one page of Srila Prabhupada books every day. And even by mistake, for some reason or other, if we forget, please give us the strength so we can catch up on that one page on the next day. So we read 2 pages. So we maintain this vow like any other things which we do in our life, but this is the most important thing. So please kindly empower all of us that we every day read Srila Prabhupada books at least 1 pages. Thank you for considering our request. Those who agree with this prayer, either in part or whole, please unmute yourself and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I've only heard like 20 Hare Krishna so far. Come on, there are 48 of us. We can do it better.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Jai, Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Haribol. Prabhuji, you're mute.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute everybody. I was just going to say that I'm very grateful to all of you for taking this, I would say, a very big step today in your life by coming closer to Srila Prabhupada. What it means to come closer to our Acharya is to follow their instruction. And we can only follow their instructions if we read about their books and what is given to us. And Srila Prabhupada has distilled all the Acharya's commentaries in one place together for all of us, actually. So please take this books very seriously of Prabhupada. Hear him if possible every day, even if it is 5-10 minutes, but at least read his book every day, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, eat Krishna Prasadam, dance. Hopefully we'll dance soon with the lockdown opening, although I don't know how much it's going to open and for how long, the way things are looking. But main thing is to keep the transcendental vibration going. So on that note, I'm very grateful that a lot of you messaged me saying that you're feeling ecstasy by hearing Prabhupada on your jukeboxes. I'm very grateful that you're thoroughly enjoying. So we have received the remaining jukeboxes. I know there are quite a few of you who couldn't get it, and I've just received it yesterday. So I will be sending those jukeboxes to Jyoti Mataji over the next couple of days. And then hopefully over the weekend, Mataji will do that service of packing it for. Are you okay to do that, Jyoti Mataji, for the remaining devotees who didn't get it?
Yes, Prabhuji, sure.
Thank you. So if there's anybody who hasn't got the jukebox, please contact Jyoti Mataji. She will share her number on the chat button. I've only got, after the confirmed one, around 3 or 4 left. So if anybody has not ordered, please order it now. This has all Prabhupada lectures in a beautiful box like that. The sound quality is superb, and there is no thing of distraction. It is a rechargeable battery. You can put it anywhere and at any time, take it anywhere with you and listen to Srila Prabhupada. Imagine that if you travel with a jukebox, your car breaks down, you're in the middle of something happened, you sit down in a park on the side and you put the jukebox on and you're happy again, you know. Okay, any comments or any questions from anybody on what was discussed today? Thank you so much. I'm feeling very happy that we all took a vow to read Prabhupada books every day now. And Radha Ramanji will definitely bless us and empower us. Okay, I have quite a few reflections here. Swati Mataji, thank you for today's lecture. Thank you, Mataji, for. Then I had Naina Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the encouragement and guidance. I'm being guided by my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada Mataji. My spiritual master has dedicated his life to reading Prabhupada books ever since he came in touch with them. And for so many years, he's been reading at least 41 pages of Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And if you do that, it takes you an hour. And you finish Bhagavatam in a year, the entire 12 cantos. And he's been doing year after year, actually, you know, and he shares that experience with others. They developed a beautiful app. You can download this app on your phone called Be a Sage Page by Page. And this allows you to set a target every day. And it tells you if you read these many pages, how long it will take you to finish the Bhagavad Gita. Like I read 14 pages of Bhagavatam. I know I'll finish the entire Bhagavatam in three years.
Prabhuji, I've got a quick question, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Namrata.
So when you read the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, do you mean, because I remember reading it after my dad, but do you mean reading the whole purport as well? As in when you say a page, you mean the Sanskrit, the English, and then the whole purport. Is that how you mean reading Bhagavad Gita, yeah?
That is correct, Mataji. So when you read the Bhagavad Gita, especially if you're doing one page, then you at least read, I mean, if you can finish the verse, if the verse is very long with a long purport, there are few purports, then you can cover it over next 2-3 days. But yeah, one Sanskrit, one translation, and one purport. But if you're planning to start with the Bhagavad Gita, please go to the introduction and start with the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. And what you will get in introduction is so precious. You will develop a faith and encouragement to carry on reading the Bhagavad Gita without stoppage. That's how beautifully the introduction is written of that beautiful book, Bhagavad Gita, actually, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All the best with your start of Bhagavad Gita tonight, Mataji.
Thank you,
The vow
Prabhuji.
is from today. So if you haven't read a page, then I'm sorry to say it is a good news. After 8:45 tonight, you turn to that one page or before you go to the bed. You got to start today, not tomorrow. There is a Tulsi, is it Tulsi Das who said, Kal kare so aaj kare so ab, pal mein pralay hogi, bahuri karega kab. What it means is, whatever you're supposed to do tomorrow, do it today. And whatever you're supposed to do today, do it right now, because the night will fall and then the day is gone. When will you do that task which you have taken, a vow for? So the vow starts today. It won't even take you 5 minutes actually. And imagine what investment you're doing in that 5 minutes. We invest in share market, we invest in property, we invest in bank balance, we invest in Mercedes Benz, we invest in beautiful houses, we invest in chandeliers, we invest in I don't know what all stuff we do invest in. But the point is, this 5 minutes of investment every day, you're going to reap such an interest, such a high spiritual interest that no bank in the whole universe can match that interest. I can guarantee you that. Apart from only one bank, that is Krishna Bank. He will match it to the same degree. Or like, there is in retirement fund, right? Some companies, you give some amount for pension and they also contribute, right? Some do a bit more, like NHS, if you're a long-time employee. And in some other companies, they will give you exactly what you're sacrificing. But what benefit that finishes here? But when you're doing this 5 minutes, Krishna is looking at you. Of course, he will take 10 steps. So of the 5 into 10 is 50. So he'll give you 50 minutes of your time. He will think of you that much. And he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajami ham. As you surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. So in this investment, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot go wrong. This is the best investment you're going to do in your life. Any other comments or questions? What time is the best to read Prabhu Pad books? What about the days we are taken over by work and domestic responsibilities? Very good question, Swati Mataji. So I'll answer. You have 2 questions and I'll answer both these questions. First question is, what time is good? Believe it or not, today I heard in that one of the lectures of Prabhupada in the morning, I was hearing, he said, Brahma Muhurat is the best time to read. Now it's the best time to chant, it's the best time to do any spiritual activity. But I heard Prabhupada saying reading, and he said, these are his Prabhupada's words, I'm not going to lie. He said, if you read for 1 hour in the Brahma Muhurat, this is the time which is 1.5 hours before the sunrise. That 1 hour will count as a 5 hours being doing of reading at any time of the day. So if you can get up and read something for 5 minutes before you chant, your chanting will be better. And that will be like 5 times 5, 25 minutes of reading, according to Srila Prabhupada. Acharya can't go wrong. These were direct words of Srila Prabhupada. So I felt very encouraged, and I'm praying to Prabhupada, please empower me that if I can, also add this element of 5 minutes of reading, that will be amazing. But start with something. That's the first part. Second question is, Mataji, what about the days? So the point is, if you can't do Brahma Muhurat, do it at any time, whatever works for you. The days when we are taken over by work and domestic responsibilities, absolutely, Mataji, we are. And at times with the children, with the family, with the parents, in-laws, and so many outlaws and, different world laws and material laws, it's very, very difficult. But the fact is, somehow or other, if you can dedicate your 5 minutes within those 24 hours, then your remaining 23 hours and 55 minutes will be somehow lighter on you. This is a fact in spiritual life. How many of you would agree with me, the day your chanting is nicely done in the morning, your day is goes very well in majority of the aspects? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji, very much, yes.
So it is the same.
Most definitely, Prabhuji.
Yes, so this is the same principle, Mataji. If you give 5 minutes to reading Srila Prabhupada books, Krishna will empower you next day to allow you 6 or 7 minutes to read. He will adjust. He personally takes charge of the devotees who are showing interest to come closer to him. He will take charge of your domestic verse. He will take charge of everything else. If you make him priority, he will make you the priority, Mataji. And then everything else will be arranged in your life. Even if the difficulty comes, 5 minutes is not much, Mataji. Even something, difficult happens to us, we can cry for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. only so much we can do. But if we turn to Bhagavad Gita and just spend 5 minutes reading, even if something doesn't go here, you're still making spiritual progress actually.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, two things I wanted to share, say something.
Yes.
What you just said about spending like a few minutes, Satchidanand Swami, the beginning of the year, he said really nice in one of his lecture. He said that whatever, you want to do in a spiritual life, or if you are even just beginners or starting to think about, or whatever you want to do, that you create a favorable circumstances. So whatever
Yes.
you want to, like, say, if you want to wake up early, say 5 o'clock, then you put an alarm on. So that means you are creating situations that you can pursue that endeavor, So that was really nice lecture, he said in January. And another thing is, Prabhuji, when you say about the BSH page by page, I tried that one. I think in the last year you shared that link, in one of your lecture, and I tried that one. It was during Adhik Mas. And I managed to read the Bhagavad Gita, 24 verses a day. So in 1 month, you can finish the Bhagavad Gita. You can read Bhagavad Gita. It was beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing
Wow,
that.
that's
Prabhu.
amazing. Haribo Jai. So here is an example of dedicating oneself and applying the numerical strength as our Goswamis has done. Raghunath Das Goswami used to count how many Danvats he used to pay. So this is a very good evidence. I have a couple more points. Swati Mataji is saying I'm chanting in Brahma Muhurat, but have to reach work by 7:45 a.m. So struggle. That's fine, Mataji. Please go to work and do what you can, but always try to appreciate, even if you're doing a little bit, try to encourage the heck out of you. My Guru Maharaj says we should encourage the heck out of everybody. Never feel sorry for what you have not done. Always try to rise from where you are and try to always look ahead. Say you've done 5 minutes, huge you did. And after that you come because you have a gratitude. And when you have a gratitude, you will find time to do it as you're traveling, as you're coming, as you're in the car. My Guru Maharaj calls the car his bhajan kutir because he hears whenever he travels. And about the point Prabhuda Mataji made about getting ready, he deliberately keeps his bead bag every day in a place where he knows he can go and approach. Sometimes we keep the bead bags, we are looking for it. Where is my bead bag? You have to chant in the morning. Then he keeps his prayers aligned in the morning before he chants his japa. Then he knows this is the Bhagavatam. He has the insert there ready for him after the japa. So all these things, if you prepare a night before, you're setting yourself for a huge and a great start in the morning. Like any other material achievement, you apply those principles, but in a Krishna conscious way. So I hope that's helpful, Swati Mataji. Somebody had asked, one devotee, is there a recommended way to read Prabhupada books? Yes, there is. His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj beautifully did a one-page document of recommended way of reading Prabhupada books. So if you could bear with me, I will try to find that out. And if any, probably Hema Mataji may have easily accessible. If not, anybody else, please share it with me and I'll put it onto the group. If not, I do have it somewhere in my emails. I will try to find it and I'll share it with all of you. Okay, Indra Mataji, I've received my set of Srimad Bhagavatam as a gift. Can I start to read every day? Absolutely, Indra Mataji. Take a vow that I'll read 1 or 2 pages every day of the Bhagavatam. Start with the introduction. There is no harm. Even while you're reading other books, read Bhagavatam. There is absolutely no harm. Okay, Swati, yes, my car is my Kirtan Kutir. Bought a Kirtan CD from Soho Temple. That's nice. You all are sadhus, I get so much inspiration. I'm finding the purports. Okay, Surabhi Mataji is asking, I'm finding the purports to be a little bit technical. I lost it. Where is it? Yeah. Sometimes with the Gita, any website or YouTube channel giving easy explanation. So Mataji, my suggestion is, this is my request. Can you answer my question, Surabhi Mataji, by unmuting yourself? Do you have Prabhupada's lectures in one place? Did you order a jukebox for yourself? Yes, you did. So this is my recommendation to you. When you read the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, hear that lecture of Prabhupada Mataji. I know it's difficult, but just do 10 minutes each, not much. We have enough days. We are still living here till the time Krishna wants us to live. Just do that, Mataji. And then you will see things will start to make sense. Then when you get an opportunity, there is a beautiful book called The Basics of Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if it is on our Idea Seeds website by Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. That is a beautiful book. Before you like it, it's a supplementary guide to the Bhagavad Gita that will help you a lot to clear some of the technical aspects of the Bhagavad Gita if need be. The third thing I would request you, still read and carry on reading and write down the things which you're not finding it easy to understand. Then pick up the phone, call up Hema Mataji, call up Madhukumari Mataji, call up other devotees who you know and ask that question. Because by asking the question, by clearing the doubts, you are gonna, that's the best way to understand Bhagavad Gita. So I've given you 3 suggestions. I hope that helps, Mataji. Absolutely. Let it be long list of questions. That is a very, very good. Right at the beginning of the outset of the Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami congratulated the sages for coming up with such wonderful questions. They said these questions are the subject matter which will bring about the auspiciousness for everybody in the world. If those sages had not asked the question, we wouldn't have had Bhagavatam, at least from a Suta Goswami point of view. You know, if Parikshit Maharaj had not asked those wonderful questions, we would be living in, I don't know, in a despair, darkness completely. So it's great to have the questions.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I think we are now nearing the time. It's 8:46. Any last comment or question before we end? Anyone want to share their realization of hearing Srila Prabhupada now every day or whenever they can? How are they feeling?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for your support and your classes. I really enjoy them.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thanks for the encouragement. I enjoy hearing and taking association with all of you and Srila Prabhupada and all the wonderful devotees who are still walking this earthly planet. Our human life is very rare. So let's try to utilize, make the best use of our time by dedicating as much as possible to Krishna's service. That is the best use of our time. So on that note, thank you everybody for the session tonight and for taking the vow of reading Srila Prabhupada book every day. That made me really very, very happy. And I'm sure Krishna will be so happy today that so many devotees came together and took this little step in their life of reading one book of Srila Prabhupada every day. So on that note, I offer my humble obeisances to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu vacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank